Like, how about All Saints Day or All Souls Day? Or what does that have to do with anything? Yes, sir.
If other people, the farmers, they hear our chanting, even if I'm not trying to. I mean, I'm an aspiring devotee.
Yes.
I'm aspiring devotee.
So,
So
what? If someone
is
hears you chant, they're going to be contaminated? Is that what your
no
question is?
are they? Does it have potency or are they? Can, can they be
The,
purified?
the
The
thing is,
karmis.
Haribo. The thing is that now let me first offer my obeisances at the feet of my spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramhamsa Iti Namine Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramhamsa Namine Gaur Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasthaya Te Namaste Saraswati Devan Gauravani Pachayani Nirvisesha Shinivadi Vasyati Desatarini. I understand your question. There are a lot of Boga Yogi places that are chanting Hare Krishna these days because it's so popular, you know. If you can't go to a yoga place anymore. When I was growing up, you couldn't go to a yoga place that chanted Hare Krishna. There was no such thing. It was all about sitting and meditating with your eyes closed and thinking about your navel or something like that, or some mantra that somebody sold you. Today, because A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami made the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra so intimately integrated with so-called Eastern religion and yoga, you can't go any place where they don't chant Hare Krishna, practically speaking. So, it's difficult to know. But Bhaktivedanta Swami said, you must hear the chanting of the Maha Mantra from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord. Then it has potency. It has potency for you. And because you have heard this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, then your chanting also has potency. If you go to some Bogi Yogi retreat or something like that and they're chanting Hare Krishna and that's where you hear it, and then you start chanting and somebody hears it, there's nothing there. No power, no potency. But because you have heard both A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and Siddha Swarupananda Paramhamsa chant, they are both pure devotees of the Lord, and therefore their chanting has great potency. And just in hearing it from a pure devotee of the Lord, hearing the pure chanting of the holy name of God, your chanting becomes potent. Not as potent, to be sure, but potent nonetheless. So, I mean, otherwise, if that weren't the case, then why would anybody go out on Sankirtan? Because we're all aspiring devotees, right? So, what would be the point? Just stay in here and chant, But because we have taken this Maha Mantra from the lips of a pure devotee and taken his desire seriously. You guys, if you want to talk, if you want to talk, if you want to talk, if you want to talk or listen to somebody else, please go outside. No problem. Just take it outside. Okay? Otherwise, if you want to stay in here, at least be quiet. Our spiritual master has given us the command to go out and chant this Hare Krishna mantra. Bring this Hare Krishna mantra to the population in general, to society. And it really is amazing the potency that this chanting has had on the world. I mean, on the one hand, you may think that, wow, we're closer to war and closer to, dictatorship and closer to so many things than we've ever been. But on the other hand, growing. The reason for that is because these materialists are so afraid. They're so afraid that this underground, they talk about the dark government, but actually it isn't. It's an enlightened movement of people. Christians are becoming aware that it isn't only Christ. Even Buddhists, slowly people are coming around and they're picking sides. Do they believe God is a person? Or do they believe God is impersonal? Or they don't believe in God at all? On Facebook right now, I'm having an argument with one of my in-laws who says that capitalism is the only. He's like a Jesus freak. He's like, capitalism is the only way. We all, we cannot embrace socialism. We cannot embrace communism. We cannot embrace, because capitalism is the only way. But looking at that, what do you see? What do you see the capitalists doing? What is the weakness of capitalism? Capitalism breeds greed. It breeds greed. The capitalist makes money, he wants more money, and more money, and more money. He has oil, he wants more oil, and more oil, and more oil, and more oil, until pretty soon, there's a finite amount of oil on the planet, and we're sucking it all out. There's a family that makes a drug, and they know that people get addicted to it, and they know people die from it, and yet they keep selling it, and keep selling it, and keep selling it, and keep selling it to thousands of people. They sell it underground, they sell it by prescription, they sell it any way they can. So, my point is that just as there needs to be some kind of a curb for capitalism, this capitalism, this greed that I'm talking about, is a reflection of our mind and our desire. Once we get a taste for something, we want more and more and more and more and more and more. We are addicted to this material world. We are addicted to our senses. We are addicted, believe it or not, we're addicted to freaking hamburgers. As stupid as that sounds, if we weren't, there wouldn't be a McDonald's. if we had any kind of conscience in terms of what we are doing to the earth, what we are doing to the animals, what we are doing to one another when we slaughter without care, without even a prayer, just slaughter more and more and more animals to feed our greed. So there needs to be something. There needs to be something that will say, stop. Stop the mind. Stop the desires. Stop the greed. Stop the unbridled passion, desire for sex life, desire for attention, desire for power. All of these things are fine if they are offered to Krishna and if they are vetted, for the lack of a better word, by a pure devotee of God. Duryodhana is a great, wonderful example of unfettered greed. Duryodhana, if you don't know the story of the Pandavas and their half-brothers, King Duryodhana, King Yudhisthira, King Duryodhana's 100 brothers, 99 brothers, then ask someone. Get a hold of a good copy of the Mahabharata and read it. Duryodhana was the half-brother of Maharaj Yudhisthira. And by right of birth, Yudhisthira having been born before Duryodhana, Yudhisthira was the claimant of the kingdom of the earth. And he was a good and righteous person, good and righteous king. But Duryodhana just hated the fact that Yudhisthira was born a few weeks before he was, and therefore, damn it, I should have that throne. I should be the one. I am the one that has the kingly qualities. And his jealousy and his rage and his lust for power covered his eyes completely. He couldn't see anything but his own greed and what he perceived as the injustice that was being done to him because he was not king. So it isn't that being a king is a bad thing. We have so many, they've taken all the power away from kings now because they usurped the power. They did it, they were not able to curb their own greed, and therefore the people took over. And now we have businesses who are in the same position. And they want power, and they want money, and they want to control everything as much as they possibly can. I'm sorry, maybe I went off on that. Does that answer your question? Okay. Are there any other questions? Boying?
Please correct me if I'm wrong. If a person hear the holy names of Krishna to a pure devotee, to a beautiful, if that person deliver the holy names to other living entities, are these souls, spirit, are they all also benefited?
Who, the people that you deliver it to?
Exactly. Yes.
Absolutely. They are benefited. That's the whole point. That was actually the point of his question as well. They are benefited because not only have you heard the holy names from the lips of a pure devotee of God, but you have followed his instructions in taking it and giving it to others, delivering the holy name to far and wide, to anybody who will, and some take it and some don't. It is the unusually benefited or gifted person who becomes attracted to the holy name. Most people don't. It's just, something they hear and something that goes on in their life and yada, yada, yada. Someday maybe they will come back to it. As you pointed out, sometimes maybe they just hear people chanting and then they get into a hard time in their life and they think about it again and they start chanting again. But right off, this is not a spiritual path that will necessarily bring the masses. Bhakti yoga is not necessarily a spiritual path that will, just sweep up the general population into chanting of Hare Krishna. But that's okay, because this is not a sectarian teaching. This is not my religion versus your religion. A religion you can take off and put on another religion just like a pair of pants. So we are not teaching Hare Krishna religion. That's not what we're teaching. We are teaching a pathway to God. Whatever religion you may call yourself. You may call yourself Catholic. You may call yourself Iglesia Ni Cristo. You may call yourself Baptist, Buddhist, Jew, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. If you can bring bhakti into your religious practice by glorifying the names of God, you bring perfection to your religion, whatever it is. And that's the beauty of it. People are like, I have a cousin who lives in the States, and I published this thing about, when you begin to know God, then you begin to understand that you are part of God, and you begin to understand that you are an eternal spark, spiritual spark of God. And it's not that you become less loving to your wife or your husband or your children. You become more loving because you see them as eternal sparks of God as well. And so your love is ever increasing. And my cousin says, "What God are you talking about?" So I answered him. I said, there is but one. He is called God, he is called Allah, he is called Krishna, he is called Jehovah, he is called Elohim, he is called so many names, but he is one. And by worshiping, by glorifying his holy name, we can bring about a remembrance and a reestablish our eternal relationship with Him. And in so doing, serve Him and achieve the goal of life. And each and every one of you can do the same. Each and every one of you can come to know God as intimately as you know your husband, your wife, your lover, your daughter, your son. You can know Him that personally and that intimately. And it is completely within you. The power to choose God, the power to choose to glorify Krishna and come to know God is there within your heart. It's lying there like an unconscious person, just lying there. You have to breathe life into that unconscious person by chanting Hare Krishna, chanting the names of God, whatever names of God are important to you. It is better that you chant Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah than to not chant the names of God at all. And this is the path to perfection. This is the path to happiness. We all want to be happy. We all want to achieve the purpose of life. It's just that we get sidetracked by so many other small purposes. We get sidetracked by hunger, thirst, or desire for power, or desire for a gold medal, or desire for respect, or desire for so many things. This is why these things are sidetracks. You dedicated your life to God. You're going on a path that will reach God. And Maya Devi is there saying, but wait, try this. Oh, wait, but what? But wait, try that. But wait, try something else. There's so much temptation. And unless that temptation is curbed by our devotion to God, it leads to nothing but death. Any other question? Shall I read from the Nectar of Devotion? The Nectar of Devotion is a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It is a book, a writing of Sri Jiva Goswami that actually spells out very, very, very clearly the nature of God, what He looks like, what His desires are, how to reach Him, what His pastimes are. All these things are spelled out in various parts and in great detail in the Nectar of Devotion. We have eight? Is it eight? A number of different relationships. Each of us has a specific relationship with God. We may know God as our Son, our Father. We may know Him as our best friend. We may know Him in so many ways. In here, this is a description in the Nectar of Devotion under the banner, the chapter of parenthood. Let me take shelter of the elderly parental devotees of Lord Krishna. They are always anxious to serve Krishna and to maintain him. They are always so kind to him. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto them for being so kind to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who himself is the parent of the entire universe. Similarly, a prayer by a Brahmin says, "Let others worship the Vedas and worship the Upanishads, and let others worship Mahabharata if they are afraid of material existence and they want to become liberated from that condition. But as far as I am concerned, I wish only to worship Maharaj Nanda, because the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is crawling in his courtyard as his own child." Much of Eastern thought is focused on getting out. Many who study the Vedas, they come to the conclusion that liberation from this world is the goal. That they just want to get out. There's all this desire, all this deception, all this material nonsense. Just put a stop to it, get out of it, and merge into the divine light. But here, we are seeing that even the worship of Maharaj Nanda, understanding that Krishna, the Supreme Godhead, is so loving of Nanda Maharaj that because of Nanda's desire to see him as his own child, because that is his perfect relationship with Krishna, Krishna allows him to see him in this way, crawling in his courtyard. Looking exactly like a little child. When Krishna is in trouble, when he was caught in the coils of Kaliya, Nanda and Yashoda and the residents of Vrindavan fainted because they were so afraid that Krishna would be killed by Kaliya. Because their love for him is so great that they can't even see him. They can't even understand that there's no way Kaliya can kill Krishna. All they see is their beloved child locked up in this horrible situation. But because it is Krishna that they are in love with, it is perfect. It is the perfection of existence. Because even in their fear, they are serving Krishna in this amazing relationship. Even in their fear that Krishna is going to somehow be killed, this they are giving Krishna so much pleasure because of their love. It's difficult to understand, but as you become purified, as you get closer to Krishna, you'll understand these things. So, last chance. Any questions? You never ask questions. Anyone? Then, let us chant. No? Nobody? I don't think. Oh, Chaitanya Das has a question.
Why is Maya so powerful?
Why is
Maya is so powerful.
why is Maya so powerful? Oh, good question. Maya is an expansion of Radharani and Krishna. She has one job. Maya is the devil. In Christian terms, Maya is the devil. And I think it's so much more appropriate that she's a female. Maya's one job is to defeat your desire for Krishna. That's her job. To put anything before you, just as it describes that Satan said, change these rocks into bread. Change the dirt into water. Yeah, you are the Son of God. You can do this. Right up until the last moment of liberation, she is there to try to dissuade you, to try to keep you from loving Krishna. That's her job, because only one whose heart is absolutely pure can come to Krishna. Giving up all other desires, giving up all other wants and desires, giving up hunger, giving up thirst in the desert, giving up the desire, as was it Narottam Das Thakur was presented with a beautiful naked woman in his cave where he lived. She comes in, she tries to entice him in so many ways, and he's like, he didn't say, he unlike Jesus, he didn't say, "Get out of here, I don't want to see you. Quit tempting me. Quit trying to do this or do that." No. He said, just wait a minute. I have to finish my rounds, the chanting of my rounds. Because he's totally absorbed in Krishna. Krishna, 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 Krishna. He's chanting on his japa beads. He has a certain amount of rounds that he must do every day. And so he's chanting. And finally the girl gets up and walks out. The dawn breaks, the morning has come. She's tired. She goes. But somebody has hired her to try to seduce Narottam. It's Narottam Das Thakur, right? Have I got the right one? I think. Huh? Narottam, right? Narottam Das Thakur. No. Who's the Haridas Thakur. Got the wrong Thakur there for a minute. Haridas Thakur. So the next evening, she comes back again, tries all of her wiles, all of her seductive ways to try to seduce Haridas Thakur. Haridas says, yes, yes, don't worry. I will satisfy your desire. He didn't say, I want you or something like that. He said, I will satisfy your desire, just wait. And so she sits and she waits. And because she's sitting and waiting, she starts to chant. And the night goes by and she's chanting and he's chanting and she's listening to the holy name. And then the dawn breaks, she's fallen asleep. And she leaves. Next night she comes back again. Tries her best to seduce Haridas Thakur. Yes, yes, just a minute. And he chants and he chants. He says, I'm almost done. I've only got a few hundred rounds to go. And he's chanting and chanting, and she starts chanting and chanting and chanting. She picks up some beads from around the cave there, starts chanting on Haridas's extra beads. And finally, just before dawn, on the third night, Haridas puts down his beads and he says, okay, I'm finished. What do you want? She throws herself at his feet, begs forgiveness. She says, I want nothing. I don't want anything from you. I came here looking for crumbs, and you have given me a great jewel. I want nothing but Krishna. And with that, Haridas got up and he said, I was going to leave this cave 3 nights ago, but then you came and I could see that you really wanted Krishna. So I'm leaving, you can stay. And from that time on, she lived in that cave, in Haridas's cave. This is the power of a pure devotee of God. Not, you ask about the power of Maya. The pure devotee of God can overcome Maya. That's the amazing power of a pure devotee. There is no Maya for a pure devotee. There is only Krishna. Anything else? It is her job to make sure that no one who has any tint, any little teeny bit of selfish desire will ever see Krishna, will ever come to know Krishna. That's her job. That's why she's so powerful. She has to be more powerful than anything in order to do that. She has to be more powerful than desire, more powerful than passion, more powerful than the material world. And she can only be defeated with Krishna. Any other questions? You guys are always so quiet over there. You never have any questions. Don't be afraid. I'd love to hear them. Ladies, over there in the corner? No? No? Then let's chant. Haribo. Namaste. Namo Om Vishnu Daya.